Gunmen kill 7 in fresh attack on Mangu local government area of Plateau State. 25 killed in Inferno as tanker truck crash in Kwara. FG frees 150 inmates in Kano. Away from Nigeria, day-long extension of Israel-Hamas truce agreed. These are the headlines on Trust TV News Update at this hour. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for joining. Beginning with security matters, gunmen have killed 7 people after reportedly attacking 2 communities in Plateau State. The victims were said to have died following attacks by the assailants in Puka and Pimpa communities of Mangu local government area of the state in the early hours of Thursday. It was learned that while 6 men and a lady were killed in Puka community, the gunmen stole sheep and other domestic animals in Pimpa community. A resident of Puka community, John Mark, confirmed the killings in Jos on Thursday. Mark, who condemned the attack, said that the incident had been reported to security operatives. Now, the police in Delta State have arrested 8 suspected kidnappers accused of kidnapping of a 43-year-old woman. The police said that they have also foiled a planned kidnapping by the same gang at Shell Road in Sapele local government area of the state. This was disclosed in a statement signed by the State Police Public Relations Officer, PPRO DSP Bride Edafe, on Thursday in Asaba. According to Edafe, the suspects, who have all confessed to the crime and admitted their various roles, have been identified by the victim. The chairman of Taraba Hunters Association, Adamu Dantala, has raised alarm that over 300 bandits have surrounded Jalingo, the Taraba state capital. He said that the bandits came to the state from Zamfara, Bauchi and other states and were responsible for killings and kidnappings in the farming communities across the state, as well as in some parts of Jalingo metropolis. Dantala stated further that the bandits have killed over 22 hunters and injured many others during face-to-face confrontation. According to him, on Tuesday, the bandits, who have superior weapons, have killed 18 hunters in Bali local government area alone. He revealed that although the hunters were very courageous, they however lacked the sophisticated weapons to fully engage the bandits. The chairman therefore called on Taraba state government to arm the hunters and also provide financial support to them to enable them do their best in confronting banditry across communities in the state. A Kwara State High Court sitting in Ilorin, the state capital, has sentenced the Sarikin Fulani of Kwara, Usman Adamu, his brother, and one Gidado Idris to life imprisonment for conspiracy to kidnap and kidnapping. The convicts were accused of abducting one Abubakar Ahmad and allegedly collecting a ransom of 1 million naira before his eventual release after spending 20 days in captivity. The kidnap incident happened in the middle of last year. In her judgment, Justice Adenike Akimpelu said that the trio all agreed to commit the crime, adding that whether they were physically present at the kidnap scene was immaterial. She said that the convicts supposedly arrested their victim, claiming that he was a kidnap suspect to extort money from him. Justice Akimpelu lamented that community leaders charged with the welfare of their subjects could, because of money, breach the security of the same subject, and therefore found them guilty as charged and convicted them to life imprisonment.
They kidnapped a boy. They kidnapped a man. One Abu. He was kidnapped, and after his kidnap, he was taken to Sobi Barracks. So the defendants here, the parties to how the ransom was collected and paid. So in fact, they even share from the proceeds of that ransom. So the main accused, who is a military officer, is nowhere to be found. So I'm sure the state is still trailing him. But the other people who benefited from that act of kidnapping by sharing the money, they have his contact. In fact, one of them collected he sent his account number to one of the defendants today, the convict today. He sent his account number to them. It was at the point of paying to his account at the POS point that he was snapped by the officers of DSS. So the court found out that the four of them, they conspired to kidnap. They were three in court.
Okay.
One is at large. The one at large is a military officer.
You know their names?
It's Ado, Seriki Fulani, and one other. As I rightly said, it was prosecuted by the Lada DPP. I only came here for the judgment. It's of Kwara. It's of Kwara. Seriki Fulani of Kwara. The court just delivered a judgment in respect of a kidnapping matter. It was investigated by DSS office and prosecuted by Lada DPP himself, Mr. Ayola Duwakade. I'm only here to listen to the judgment as a state counsel.
Thank you, sir.
And the pronouncement of the court is that they are sentenced to life imprisonment. They were convicted.
Still on security matters, residents of Yola, the Adamawa state capital, have advocated the need for security agencies to find a formal way of resolving disagreements instead of resorting to confrontation. They, however, queried the Inspector General of Police alongside the Chief of Army Staff over the recent clash of their men that led to the loss of lives and injuries to personnel in the state capital. Salis Lawan reports.
The last week invasion of the police quarter guard by soldiers left one Inspector Jacob Daniel dead. The army had accused policemen of shooting and injuring a soldier at a checking point and also taking the injured soldier away, thereby sparking a conflict between soldiers and policemen in the state on Wednesday. The incident left residents worried that if those responsible for protecting their lives and property could engage in such confrontation, there was no guarantee that ordinary citizens were safe.
It is indeed not a welcome idea to find gentlemen, respected military officers behaving this way. It is also unexpected of a police officer to shoot a colleague. But look at the circumstances that happened. Our hearts bleed for our dear state Adamawa, and if this thing continues in Nigeria, the respect we have for this institution will come down. And we expect that in civilized societies the world over, security forces have a very excellent synergy. And that's what they call themselves, esprit de corps. We expect that nothing like this can happen. I cannot see tanks moving from a barrack to a police headquarters simply because you have one incident.
Even though the matter was quickly addressed by the state government to avoid further loss of lives and properties, this entire episode may not have gone well in the eyes of those at the highest level of authority.
It's unfortunate that it has happened. Otherwise, the team spirit and the collaboration, the joint patrol that the police in the state and the army have been having was so cordial. That is why Adamawa State today is one of the safest states in the northern Nigeria, or I could say even in Nigeria.
This incident should not demoralize our officers. We are not at war with any agency of government. What happened, and I know that the military authorities are also not happy with it. I don't want this to dampen your spirit. Please go about your normal duties.
They condemned the attack and called for calm among security personnel to ensure peace and development in the state.
the Nigerian army to be clean, the police to be clean, and our society will be clean. So long as we continue looking down on each other, we cannot. This country, we cannot succeed by give and take. There is no section that is superior to the other. So I want to believe that, please, let us respect ourselves. And the tenet of democracy is respect for one another, making sure that your life, your territory where you walk is as important as the other person's territory. If you don't respect his own territory, he will never love you. And I want to believe that without unity, this country will be in pieces. So if our security forces are not united, then trouble awaits us.
While normalcy has since returned to the state, residents have been urged to continue with their normal activities and not to be discouraged by the incident. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
The people of Jigawa State have been advised to redouble effort by giving their maximum cooperation to the Nigerian police force as partners to stem the tide of criminals and criminality across the state. The newly posted Commissioner of Police, Ahmad Tijani Abdullahi, stated this at the maiden press briefing held at the State Command Headquarters, Dutse. Adamu Imam reports.
Recently, Dutse, the state capital, came under attack from kidnappers and armed robbery. Herders and farmers' dispute is resurfacing within many rural communities of the state. Ahmad Abdullahi is the new Commissioner of Police deployed to the state. He expressed his readiness to fight against all forms of criminality. He urged officers and men of the command to tighten their belts for community style of policing.
Philosophy of community policing. Constant engagement with them, constant engagement with relevant stakeholders, so that we sensitize them, enlighten them on how to live in harmony, and also if there is any problem, they should not take law into their hands or take to violence, but they should just inform either the security agencies or the committee, because we are going to work hand in hand with the committee. I believe this will go a long way in solving this areas.
Abdullahi added that despite Jigawa having relative peace, a lot need to be done to sustain the tempo.
I will embark on tour very soon. I will place their offices, respective offices, to pay them homage, to pay them a courtesy call, to solicit for their cooperation, synergy, and all other things that will make Jigawa State greater.
It could be recalled that the state governor recently pledged total commitment and support to the security agencies. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Jigawa.
Now, 25 persons have been reportedly killed, while about 15 others sustained varying degrees of injury following a fire incident at Bode Saadu axis of Moro local government area of Kwara State. It was gathered that the incident occurred when a petrol tanker, a heavy-duty truck, and an 18-seater bus collided at about 3:18 p.m. on Tuesday at Peke village along Oko Olowo Bode Saadu Expressway in Moro local government area. A spokesman for the State Fire Service, Hakim Adekule, who confirmed the incident, said that the petrol tanker traveling from Niger State used the wrong side of the road, resulting in a head-on collision with a heavy-duty truck from Lagos State. Adekunle said that the collision ignited a fire that rapidly consumed both vehicles and also affected an 18-seater bus from Lagos. Expressing deep sorrow over the incident, the director of the Kwara State Fire Service emphasized the need for road users to prioritize safety while driving. The Senate has called on the Federal Minister of Education and the National Universities Commission to prioritize the issue of accommodation of female students on campus to guard against abduction. The resolution was taken on Thursday as part of moves to show solidarity with Nigerian women on this year's 16 days of advocacy for the elimination of violence against women. The lawmakers also urged the Nigerian police to strengthen the prosecution process of perpetrators of gender-based violence to pave the way for the conviction. Additionally, the Senate resolved that the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons undertake a continuous review of the existing policies and laws on gender-based violence, to accommodate best practices and strategies. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up shortly. Makurdi residents adopt desperate measures for survival. Details and more after the break.
The famed giant of Africa is battling an identity crisis with severe economic downturn.
We have seen during Shagari, fall of Naira, but Babangida's time was historic. It was unprecedented.
All Nigerians.
The Nigerian economy has been in steady decline. No growth and a sharp drop in production makes matters worse.
The more you push your economy to get integrated into the global market economies, the more you increase the use of dollar.
How did we get here?
We have been working every nook and cranny, running helter-skelter, trying to seek dollar so that we can also meet with the demand of our people.
And the same Nigerians will turn around and say, CBN should supply dollar into the market, or government should supply. Where are you going to supply from?
As the value of the Naira plummets, is obsessive comparison with the dollar helping matters?
Once people believe that the currency cannot retain its value, they find alternative ways of savings.
Why is the Naira on a free fall? And what are the solutions? Journey with us back in time to where it all began.
We started manufacturing leather since 1958. But the most important thing is that if the system is checked correctly, we won't have where we are now.
If somebody has depression, they may just be very irritable and unproductive in the office. So you find on average already about 1 in 4, 1 in 5 Nigerians already have mental illness, a mental health condition that needs some form of attention.
No matter how good an economy is, if the federal government goes bust, believe me, everything in the economy is just a matter of time it will go bust. So first of all, about maybe slightly above, below 70% is in federal government securities.
If government has banned importation of fertilizer and states are doing it at the level of governance, but I believe that production and distribution of fertilizer should be left to the private sector.
This is the general multi-purpose card, and it has a chip here. So this chip is about 80 kilobytes. The one that you get from the bank for ATM is just 4 kilobytes. So this is like 20 times.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Gunmen killed 7 in fresh attack on Mangu local government area of Plateau State. Plus 25 killed in Inferno as tanker and truck crash in Kwara. Now, in other news, the federal government on Thursday freed 150 inmates from the Maximum Security Custodial Center, Janguza, in Kano State. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, made this known in Kano while releasing the inmates. Tunji-Ojo, represented by the Assistant Director in the Ministry of Interior, Anayo Romanus Nzekwe, said that the release of 150 inmates out of the 4,068 nationwide was part of President Bola Tinubu's mantra of renewed hope. He said that the move is to decongest custodial centers and make them humane for proper reformation and rehabilitation of offenders to take place. The released inmates who were sentenced to various terms of imprisonment with the option of fine and compensation have not been able to pay their fines and as such have continued to languish in custody. According to Romanus Nzekwe, 13.4 million naira was spent in Kano State out of the 585 million naira raised by the philanthropic individuals, groups and corporate bodies as part of their corporate social responsibility for freeing inmates nationwide. He further explained that all inmates in custodial centers who have fines and compensation not exceeding 1 million naira were qualified and will benefit from this gesture. With the present cost of PMS between 640 and 700 naira in Makurdi and the consequent rise in transportation fares, Makurdi residents say that traveling from one destination to another has become a luxury. To survive the situation, they have adopted some basic strategies. Jimmy Azandi tells us more.
At the motor parks, there's a lack of the usual movement of passengers. The residents explain that most of them travel out only when it becomes unavoidable. One of the strategies they said is delivering goods through Wellbe, which to them is more affordable.
The Wellbe we do at the rate of 2,000 naira, 3,000 naira, they are charging us 6,000 naira, 7,000 naira, which is abnormal. When you are to transport from your house to the park, you will pay huge amount of money. Transport of 100 naira now is 200 naira. Some people like me now, I do pay 150 to come down here on bike, but today I paid 250 naira to come down here. So the situation is not that easy. But I believe gradually things will get better.
Then from Ogene to Makurdi, before they were collecting 3,500 before, but yesterday was 7,000. So everything was double. So people are getting it too hard. So the country, I don't know where we are heading to.
It is 6 months since the fuel subsidy removal crisis began. Some of the residents are yet to come to terms with the realities.
Actually, I came here thinking that it's the usual price I do take home. But all of a sudden, I was shocked to discover that it's almost ×2 of the normal price. And the money I'm holding here with me is not more up to the amount they are calling me. So I'm just so stranded right now.
Transport company owners are lamenting poor patronage, which they said is a threat to their businesses.
Before now, our transport fare was 8,000, and we could balance well with the price of 8,000. But since the subsidy removal, it has become difficult. This time is a very difficult time for passengers and company owners.
Even with some cut down on transport fare by the state-owned Benue Links, residents told Trust TV that the usual movement in the Yuletide season should not be expected this year. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
President Bola Tinubu on Thursday met with King Charles III on the sidelines of the COP28 climate summit in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, the president said that he had a productive engagement with the British monarch, who is also the head of the Commonwealth and a passionate climate advocate. The meeting, according to the post, was a significant step in strengthening the partnership between Nigeria and the United Kingdom. President Tinubu also expressed optimism about the positive impact their joint efforts will have on the planet's future as they work towards setting an equitable global standard for environmental stewardship at COP28. Away from Nigeria, a truce between Israel and Hamas was extended on Thursday just before it was due to expire, the two sides announced, with mediator Qatar reporting it will continue for 1 day under the same conditions that saw hostages released in exchange for prisoners. Minutes before the halt in fighting was due to expire at 0500 GMT, Israel's military said the truce will be prolonged. Hamas said that there was an agreement to extend the truce for a 7th day without further details. It had earlier said that Israel initially refused to extend the truce after it offered to hand over 7 hostages and the bodies of 3 more. Qatar, which has led the truce negotiations supported by Egypt and the United States, confirmed the pause and had been extended for a day under the same previous conditions. Now, former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger is dead. He died at the age of 100. Kissinger served as America's top diplomat and national security advisor during the Nixon and Ford administrations. A diplomatic powerhouse whose roles as a national security advisor and Secretary of State under two presidents left an indelible mark on U.S. foreign policy and earned him a controversial Nobel Peace Prize, and died on Wednesday at the age of 100, Reuters reported. He died at his home in Connecticut, and according to a statement from his geopolitical consulting firm, Kissinger Associates. Now, no mention was made of the circumstances. Now, in sports news, the Super Eagles of Nigeria have dropped by 2 spots in the latest FIFA ranking to place 42nd in the world. Now, in the ranking table on the website of the World Football Governing Body on Thursday, the Eagles dropped 16.04 points to rank 1,474.44 points as against 1,490.48 in October. However, the drop did not affect the team's placement on the continent, as it still remained the 6th team on the continent behind Morocco, Senegal, Tunisia, Algeria, and Egypt. The drop in ranking comes after the Super Eagles were held to a 1-1 draw in their 2 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier matches against Lesotho on November 16 and Zimbabwe on November 19. And that's a wrap on the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching.